Daniel Brown, what made you shift to a life that's focused on healing and personal growth?
Oh, how long have we got? Astro. So I was mainstream health. So as a young adult, I want to get healthier. I want to be a bit fitter. Girls might like it, and that kind of thing. And I followed mainstream advice. So I would run a lot and I would eat low fat because apparently fat's bad for you. And I would carb load because that's what you're supposed to do when you're running half marathons. And I was really fit and I looked like crap and I felt like crap. And I wasn't piecing together what's going on here. And then about 10 years ago, I nearly died. I always like to drop that in for dramatic effects because it makes people's eyebrows go up like yours just did and go, wait, what? Nearly died. And it sometimes takes those kinds of moments to have the wake up to, hang on, what am I doing here? And I moved through the particular, let's call it illness event that happened. And maybe my brain was unconsciously primed for, I want to move things forward in some way. And I've been playing with eating lower carb for a while. And I've sort of done it a little bit. And I must have read something, picked up on something. I thought, I like the idea of this low carb keto type thing. So I just did it. Started eating a bit differently, actually quite differently. Didn't tell anyone. I didn't want it to be like a thing. I didn't even tell my wife and my kids. They didn't notice that I just didn't take the carbs at dinner and I just took lots of, protein, lots of animal. And in a few months, my health transformed. It was the craziest thing. My body fat dropped and muscle grew and sleep improved and recovery from exercise rocketed. I'm like, this is wild. And I wanted to understand what had happened. So I started researching, started reading books, reading research articles and so on. And that was the beginning. Because what intrigued me the most was, where does the advice come from, the guidance that fat's bad for you and cholesterol's bad for you and animal makes you sick and will cause cancer and all the narratives that were told? And what I found made me feel like a complete conspiracy theorist, because it was all 50s and 60s, 1950s, 1960s, money, power, control, falsified studies, falsified situations that basically took us on a certain route. And the next 60 years of health, diet, statins, all this stuff was built on a complete lie. And I really dug deeply. I made sure I wasn't just listening to what one person said or what one book said, but it drew me in. And maybe it was almost the fun of, it's a conspiracy, I want to know more. And I just kept going. So over the next couple of years, I made myself like a self-appointed health research geek. I taught myself how to research the research, because what you'll often see is there'll be studies talking, or there'll be a newspaper headline, this is the new shocking thing about your health. And then you read the actual article in the paper and you realize that doesn't even match the headline. Then you go to the study and you realize that the summary of the study doesn't match what was in the newspaper. But then you actually read the study in full, and half the time you discover, wait, the conclusion, the abstract at the top of the study, doesn't even match what they actually discovered in the study. And then you look and you realize that the study was paid for by Coca-Cola or Pfizer, and you go, okay, hang on. So I got really good at that. And I just kept trying new things across nutrition and physical health and getting more sunlight. Because, by the way, maybe the sun isn't this burning fireball of evil out to get us all. Maybe no life in the universe exists without it. So there's a clue there that should need looking into. So I research, then I self-experiment, and then I have little transformations. And then I start helping other people, because I'm like posting about it on what used to be called Twitter. And you find other people intrigued, wanting to improve their health. And I would guide people through my own experiences. Like, hey, what I've experienced for me is this. And here's what I think of the research when you really look at it. So maybe you should try this then. And then people come back days or weeks later. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the difference. And I landed in a place about 2 years into this, like 7, 8 years ago, of, if you pretty much just do the exact opposite of whatever the mainstream advice is, whatever they tell you in health, you're probably going to be really healthy. And it shouldn't be that simple, but it kind of is. It's kind of frightening. So I continue on this health journey, changing my exercise, changing the amount of toxins that are in our homes, the amount I'm outside in the sun, fresh air, the way I eat, etc., etc. And this is, that's funny, I hesitated then. I'm allowing myself to say this stuff only in recent months. I've been holding back, and I know why. You could therapy me all day if you want to know why I kind of initially hold back. I believe that depending on what you believe, let's call it the universe or something more divine, actually gave me a thing that I'm supposed to do in this life. And I'm supposed to help people with their health because I have this weird ability to sense stuff. So we can have a conversation and really, really quickly, I can usually work out what some massive gaps might be, whether it's on the physical health side. So, actually, you're busy biohacking away doing this, that, the other, whatever it might be, but you're missing some real basic foundational thing that is going to prevent your health from being what it needs to be. Because everyone's caught up in fine details. Which version of optimizing should I do? And should I cold plunge? And should I take this supplement and so on? And I'm like, tell me what you're eating. Tell me how often you're outside. Tell me how aware you are of clean, fresh air in your home. Because you can mess around with the details all day long, but if that foundation isn't there, you're kind of screwed. And I often help people. And I frequently help people transform their health, often big health issues or just in general, I'm trying to get healthier. And I can often help where nobody else can because I ask the questions and I can connect it all up. And a problem we have in not just mainstream medicine, but even what we would probably call alternative health, what we believe in and what people listening to this would probably believe in, is that everyone's very narrow. So the nutrition guy thinks it's all about what you eat. And the exercise lady thinks it's all about your muscle. And then the psychological, emotional expert thinks it's all about the mind and the heart, soul, spirit piece. And I'm in the most loving way possible. I'm going to say, nope, I think you're all wrong. I think it's all of it because we are just one complex being that we'll never fully understand. And it's all interconnected. So until we look at the whole being, we're doing people a disservice. And then tell me if you want to ask me more questions, because you know this is your thing, and I'm just going to talk and talk and talk. But the important thing happened for me about 3 years ago when I discovered how much our emotions, the emotional, spiritual side of things affects our health. So do I go there? Okay.
I love it. Yeah, there's just a bunch of things to pull from. We can go for the emotional part, but I do want to emphasize an important thing, which you said is you learn how to investigate and you learn how to criticize also what you are investigating. So how can someone start understanding without getting lost into the sea of confusion?
Sure. Just trust me. Yeah, just listen to me and nobody else, and you'll be fine. No, does that not work? Because that kind of goes against what I just said. Okay, here's my theories, and bear with me because I'm thinking out loud here as you've asked me that. Modern science is done wrong, in my opinion. If you look into what most modern science is, it should usually be, we have a theory and we've done some work that makes this theory maybe more likely. And that's all we know. Now, what's actually usually presented is, here's a fact. It's not the case. And actually, I've said to my kids quite a few times, every single teacher before every lesson in school, other than maybe like math and language, should probably say to you, here's what we think we might maybe possibly know up until about 30 years ago, because school's way outdated, but we might be wrong. So just keep that in mind as I share everything I share with you. That's what it should be like. So every study that comes out, every angle that comes out, 9 times out of 10, if you really look at it and just bring in a logical mind and say, is this fact or is this a hypothesis? It's usually a hypothesis. It's an idea. So it shouldn't become doctrine. So if I give you one example, let me think of one. Oh, fiber. So everyone knows, and I'm doing quotation marks in the air for people that are listening, not watching. Everyone knows that fiber is really important and really good for you. I'll say we don't know that. I actually think the opposite. The reason we supposedly know it is this. You go and interview thousands and thousands of people, and you find a whole bunch of them that are really unhealthy and a whole bunch of them that are really healthy. You can put them in 2 camps and go, well, these people are sick and dying young, and these people over here aren't sick and they're dying, much later. So what do we see? Well, wait a minute. These guys over here in the sick section are eating McDonald's every single day, all day. And these guys over here are eating lots of vegetables. So we're going to make some assumptions. The McDonald's guys, well, they're eating burgers within that McDonald's. So it must be that red meat kills you. Let's just go with that. Let's ignore the highly processed bun, the fries that are in seed oils, which are toxic, the Coke, the big giant oversized thing of Coke, and let's not even, let's ignore all that, which is say, so meat must be bad because it's a correlation. It's not causation. It's just, hey, maybe we should now look into this, but that comes out as a fat. And then over here, this other group, they're eating lots of vegetables, and vegetables are high in fiber. So these guys are getting 10 grams of fiber a day, and these guys are getting 30. So it must be that fiber is really good for you. We will now tell everybody red meat's bad and fiber is good. No. A scientist should say, I've now developed a couple of hypotheses I should go and test. How do I now test that? Nobody does. Nobody did. And then they just perform a conclusion. So that's my recommendation, is some advice is given to you. You have to go back all the way to the beginning. Where did this first come from? Like the idea of salt being bad for us and salt causing high blood pressure. If you go all the way back to the beginning, you can see a bunch of falsified research that the whole next 50 to 100 years of information was built on. But then the extra piece on top to help us get there quicker, because I know the reality is most people are going to go, I'm not going to start researching the research and going that deep. I don't want to be as geeky as you, Daniel. I then come back to basic logic. So here's an example. Do you know what happens to you if you have no salt at all?
You probably you get like a weird disease.
Worse than that. You die there and then, immediately. So you hear the stories now and again, some of the really big marathons like Boston, New York, where there's like 50,000 people running. Quite often a person dies. It's not the ultra fit person doing it in 2 hours. It's the average person. Maybe it's their first marathon and they go and run it in 5 hours and it's amazing. And about 20 to 22 miles in, they keel over and die. And they die because they're dehydrated. But dehydrated, the term is misunderstood. They have been drinking the whole time. They've either got the water pack on their back or they're grabbing the water every mile marker. And that water is just plain water with no salt, no magnesium, no potassium in it, also known as electrolytes. So what happens is they drink and drink and drink, and they're sweating and sweating for 3, 4, 4.5, 5 hours. And eventually all the minerals leave their body. And without those minerals, salt being number one, you can't function, you die. And they literally just keel over and die. And they were dehydrated, but they were drinking lots of water. No, they needed minerals to stay alive. So I then come to a basic thing. If you would be dead without that thing, how sure are we that having it or having a bit more of it is bad for you? And I alluded to it before when I mentioned the sun. If there's no sun, no life exists anywhere in the universe. Let that just be a clue. All the other animals, not the nocturnal ones, but all the diurnal animals are out in the daytime, are out in the sun. When they've been out in it for a while and they get really hot, they go into some shade. Have you heard of skin cancer in any other animal? Have you heard of other illnesses caused by the sun in any other animal? There's a clue. So I'd start there. And if you want to go deeper or go geekier, or ask me. It's funny how often you just place that in there. Cholesterol, I'll do is one more. Cholesterol, supposedly bad for us. It's not possible to remove the cholesterol from your body. But if you removed all the cholesterol from your body, you would die immediately. Because there's hundreds and hundreds of functions that require cholesterol for you to actually be alive. Your brain doesn't function without it. So let it be a clue. Maybe it's not so bad for me. So that's my recommendation of how somebody starts off. Just question the mainstream narrative every time. Think what's logical.
Yeah, no, and you go a bit again to common sense, but common sense is not common anymore.
Isn't that interesting? Yes, common versus normal.
Yeah,
correct. It's not
so that's one part. Let's now go back to the emotional part. So there's people who are eating correctly, who are doing all the right things, but they're still getting sick, and they are depressed. They're not having good relationships. Like what happens there, and then what's a step they can do to actually start getting healthier?
Yeah, that was me. So I was doing all the right stuff physically, eating brilliantly, supplementing small but carefully, great exercise, tons of time outside, sunlight, toxin reduction, all of it. And you would probably put me in the top, like 1% of what I was doing for my physical health. But I wasn't getting a top 1% result. So that was hard for me because if I'm the health guru, and yet I keep having a few major incidences, something's wrong there. I must be missing something. And I had another nearly died situation. So that's two of those now. I was like, okay, shit, I'm missing something here. So at first, my logical brain went into, there'll be one nuance I'm missing. I'll do all the genetic tests. I'll review everything. There'll be something I'm missing. And then I noticed something that I would wear like a badge of honor, the phrase, I'm obsessed by health. I used to run around telling everybody I'm obsessed by health with a big smile on my face, like it was a good thing. And I caught the fact that obsession, I think, is another word for addiction. It's a clever word for it. But obsession and addiction are really, really similar. And I caught that I was addicted to health and I was addicted to personal development. I mean, actually look behind me on the screen, you see how many books there are. I was obsessively reading. I must keep learning. I must keep growing. And I thought there's something wrong there. So I did a lot of work on just reprogramming in my brain. I'm passionate about health, passionate about health. Every day I would read the mantra, I would change my thinking, and it was really good. So I guess I was starting to recognize a little something that was emotionally connected. But then the pinnacle point, I got an autoimmune disease. Mr. Healthy got an autoimmune disease, and it was a horrific one. It's called complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. Most people have never heard of it. It's very rare. It's horribly nicknamed the suicide disease because it's so bad that the rate of suicide amongst people that have it is freakishly high, because eventually people just say, I can't cope with this anymore. Yeah, it's scary stuff. And I knew all about it because my daughter used to have it. And it's incurable, yet she doesn't have it anymore. And as you'll know where I'm going with this, for dramatic effect, neither do I. But it took me a while to wake up to what was going on. So I'm suffering from this horrific autoimmune disease. It's officially measured as being the worst pain a human can experience. And I'm going through initially the why me, I'm doing all the right stuff, what am I missing? And through a number of books I read, which if you want to come back for more, put them in the caption or whatever else, we can share with people. I had this wake up and I learned a lot of information about the idea that our emotions, our unconscious mind, can cause physical pain, illness, and disease. And here's why it does it. So we all have buried trauma, rage, upset beliefs from earlier in life, a lot from childhood, but it can happen at any point. And we shouldn't talk about big T trauma or little T trauma, not the kind of thing of, oh, well, the stuff you read about in the media that's really awful. Doesn't matter. When I was 5 years old, I perceived a certain something in a way that I framed potentially in a harmful way inside me, locked it in, and little 5-year-old Daniel is now in there and has been in there for another 40-something years, guiding my entire life. And if the way he interpreted this particular thing was maybe a more negative rather than positive, it might have been misguiding me for 40 plus years the rest of my life. Some deep possible pain. And the belief is, or my belief is, what often happens is sometimes these emotions, these memories want to start bubbling up. And your brain goes, no, no, no. He will not be able to cope with that emotional pain. So I need to do anything I can to distract him. And if that's necessary, the distraction will be chronic pain, illness, or disease, which sounds a bit crazy. It's a bit like nuts, woo-woo, hugging trees, what you can make. Okay. Long story short for this podcast, once I had that realization, without me even knowing what the memory, trauma, emotion was, I got rid of my complex regional pain syndrome there and then, and have never had it ever since. Over the following few months, I started reading a lot of books on this and started doing a lot of self-work, meditative practices, studying, etc. And I cured myself of osteoarthritis, seasonal allergies, heartburn, a number of other issues, just through me thinking through what was really going on underlying. And since then, I've been able to help a number of other people do the same thing. Because again, you start talking to somebody and yeah, your nutrition's a bit off and maybe you should get some more sun and how's about you go for a walk? But hang on, in talking to you, there's something I'm sensing. Tell me more about your childhood. And next thing you know, it was the thing that happened when they were 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old. That's the real cause of their illness, their disease, their pain. And once we address that, it can vanish. And it doesn't matter that that thing is real. Just to be really, really clear before you ask me a question, This isn't imagined. This is real. So you can look on an X-ray and see a thing. You can have the blood test and that marker can be elevated. The disease, the illness, the pain is a real thing. It's just accepting the fact that maybe it's being caused by your own mind.
And how can someone give themselves time to actually think about this stuff? Because we have a world that's going faster and faster every single time. They're looking for the pill. They're looking for the quick fix. So how do you treat someone and make them understand and set time to actually build this awareness around that?
That's an amazing question. Okay. So people often ask me, so do I focus on the physical health or the emotional health? Which one is it? I'm like, it's both. Because if you get your brain, your emotions, your heart into the best possible place, but you eat Twinkies and stay indoors all day scrolling online at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can't be healthy. But if you do all the right physical stuff and deep down there's underlying trauma, you can't really be healthy. So you know what? Get over it. It's both of them. The easier one to address, of course, is the physical side because it's more practical. It's easy to see. So how's about this? Remove all the processed food from your life. Ensure there's plenty of protein and animal products in there. I do believe that animal is important. I'm not specific about you should be keto or carnivore or animal-based, whatever else, but I do believe that I can argue why we are a carnivorous omnivore. Omnivore meaning we can eat anything, but really we're meant to be carnivorous at the base. So get that. Make sure you've got good salt, electrolytes, clean water. Okay, that's it. How much do you move? Not much. Okay, let's walk some more. And do you build muscle in some way? Whether you're in the gym or doing stuff at home or playing a sport, are you building some muscle? Yes or no? If it's no, you got to go do something about that. And then this third bucket, so you've got nutrition, movement, and your third bucket, which is just living more naturally. How much you go outside in the sun, getting natural sunlight throughout the day? That's my number one. No sun lotion, no sunglasses, no contact lenses. Really important. Getting sun on your body early in the morning, middle of the day. Middle of the day is the only time you can make vitamin D. You can't make it early and late. Multiple times through the day. Do that. And then the opposite is be really careful with artificial light. So dimming your screens, turning your phone and your TV screen to red mode, wearing blue blockers at night, being careful of the danger of LED lighting. And then without being paranoid about it, just reducing the toxins, less plastics in your life, be careful with any artificial fragrances, So all that stuff, I'm not going to say it's easy to address, but it's kind of logical. You start hitting those things. So at least you've got a base of physical health, or you're moving in the right direction of that physical health. Then one has to ask themselves, right, I still have this major health issue. I'm still depressed. I'm still suffering anxiety. I still have this chronic pain in my back. I still have high blood pressure or heart disease or autoimmune disease. Now what? And then now what is what should take us to, okay, now I need to look at the emotional side. So I start off by recommending a few books and podcasts to people. I literally say, read this book, listen to this one episode of this podcast, etc. And just begin there. And just open your mind to the likes of the work of Dr. John Sarno, Sarno. He's the first person I really learned from. That's my big breakthrough. And many people now know Gabor Mate, people know Joe Dispenza, all those kinds of people. They're all telling a slightly different story, or they're telling the story in a different way, but it's very similar stuff. Our emotions are affecting our physical health. Just open your mind and aim for one thing. Aim to get yourself to believe that physical things could be being caused by your emotions. That's it. That's all you have to do, because the rest of it will actually come and take care of itself. And we can go down rabbit holes and read different books, or talk to the therapist, or do the meditation and the self-work. And it's almost there's too many options to kind of just talk about here, because everyone's route needs to be personalized. But if you could just take the one step of, hey, I believe it's quite possible that my thing, my illness, my ailment, whatever it might be emotionally caused. I'm going to learn more about what that can be like. That could be a huge leap. And some people actually have a breakthrough just by doing that, just by believing that's the case. I think our brain goes, oh, he knows that's what I'm doing. Oh, and he's okay with that. All right, then we'll let that thing go, because that's what happened with me. An incurable autoimmune disease, the minute I said to my brain, I know that I'm causing this. My brain went, okay, then, cool. That's the end of that. Done. So that would be the place to start. After that, ask me.
Okay. What about sleep? I didn't hear you mention about sleep. How important is sleep in your life, and how can someone that has trouble sleeping get better at it? I have my mother who struggled with sleep for the past probably 10 different years or more. So what would you say about that?
That's a really good one. So I'm very conscious about this. When I talk about physical health being in 3 sections, there isn't a 4th section for me. Sleep isn't the 4th section, and people often wonder why. Because I said to you, nutrition, movement, and living more naturally. Here's the thing. If I eat the right foods and I move plenty and I get outside in the sun and look after my living more naturally, I tend to sleep well as a result. So sleep is usually a result or a symptom or an outcome of doing the underlying stuff. So I don't give it its own category. Yes, there's a few little subtle things like make sure there's no light sneaking into your room. Make sure you have your room cooler at night, cotton or linen rather than polyester sheets. Definitely those things can help optimize. But really, if you live the right life in the day, you tend to sleep well at night. So being out early in the morning, seeing the sunrise, very important. Out again in the middle of the day, out again later in the day, that's huge. Massively controlling the artificial light at night is important, because the minute we start watching TV at 9 o'clock at night with full-on blue, white, and green light, our brain goes, oh, it's the middle of the day, is it? Because that's the only time it should see that spectrum of light, and it can disrupt your sleep. If you're eating too late at night, that's a bad one. So you want like 3 or 4 hours after you finished eating before you go to sleep. And then for some people, it's maybe more about like breath work, calming themselves, mantras, whatever they need to feel calmer and safer. But belief will be huge. So once someone's in the habits of sleeping poorly, the self-talk, this is where the emotions come in, will be massive. So I'm going to hypothesize. I don't know about you, Mum, but she probably would say, I sleep badly. I don't sleep well. So hear those words. That's present tense. That's right now. And her unconscious goes, oh, okay. Your unconscious cannot discern the difference between a good instruction and a bad instruction. It doesn't go, no, 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 no. Daniel, don't say that. That's not true. You didn't sleep well yesterday, but hey, maybe tonight you can. It can't do that. It just does one thing and one thing only. Does all it can to help what you believe come true. Oh, so you sleep badly, do you? Okay, then I'll make sure you sleep badly tonight as well. So tomorrow you can say, see, I do sleep badly. So the power of that self-fulfilling prophecy is enormous. Now, I don't believe you can successfully lie to your unconscious. You can't suddenly say, oh, I sleep great, if you don't actually believe that. What you can say is, up until now, I haven't slept well. That's true. Doesn't tell you what tonight brings. I'm working hard right now at sleeping better tonight. Oh, well, what are you doing about that? I'm going to go outside in the sun more and eat really well and finish eating early tonight and so on. It's true. So my brain goes, okay, I'm open-minded. Let's see what happens. So having those kind of mantras, and I just love reminders in my phone. I read these things on a regular basis. You can start to program, because if you don't handle the beliefs in the first place, it's very challenging, or it could be very, very challenging to address those things. So sleep starts with how you live your day and what you tell yourself. How much sense does that make?
Yeah, incredible. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy, as you were saying, just the awareness of it, and speaking words, as you were saying, right? I'm obsessed versus I'm passionate, like how the words shape your reality. That's why I love reading so much as well, because it enhances your vocabulary and allows you to understand and articulate what you want to create in your life. So I think that's super powerful. Now let's go into the way that you relate to others around your health, because you become the health geek, right? But not everyone's going to change and evolve like that. And probably you've had challenges on trying other people to be healthy around you. So how do you go about that? How can you inspire others without imposing your belief?
Oh, you do good questions. I did all the things that you just said for a number of years, and it took me a long time to wake up that was happening. So I will try and indoctrinate you in my beliefs, and here's what you're doing wrong, and here's how I can save you. Was through good intention. I want to help other people. That's not a bad thing, of course. Took me a long time to wake up to the idea that, wait, if you're not ready, nothing I can do about that. You'll be ready when you're ready. So a new mantra for me about 3 years ago was build me and they will come. So play on the field of dreams thing rather than build it. Just build me and they will come. But if I embody what I think healthy is, and if I embody how you can be passionate about it but not obsessed by it, because obsession would also push people away, then other people will step in and ask for that when it's right for them. And I can offer it. I might sense in somebody, oh, hey, Astro, just hearing you talk about this, by the way, I've got some angles on that. If you would like them, you let me know if you'd like me to share more of that with you about whatever it might be. Because then you have to step forward and say, yes, please tell me more, which now means you're wide open to receiving what I share. And then I start sharing it. And quickly I work out if I'm hitting a barrier and you're going, no, 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 I'm not going to listen to you. I've got over it now. Now, it used to be I would spend days and weeks and months. I'm determined. I can convince him. I will save Astro. What a waste of energy, and how depressing that was for me to keep hitting that wall and have somebody say, no, 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 no. So I've discovered now I can work out really, really quickly. Hey, you know what? In a sense right now, this isn't for you. This might not be the time yet for you, but know that if you want to talk more about this, here I am. And when it's right for you, you'll come back to me. And people have done that. Some people come back to me 6 months, 2 years later and gone, you know, when we were talking about such and such, I'd really love to learn more. So all I can do is embody it, try and share it online, share my stories, do stuff like this through podcasts and so on. And the right people will step in and say, please help me. I'm open to receiving it. And that's like, great. I'll pour in as much as I can. I've become much more efficient with it. So I can pour a lot in very, very quickly. And if it's the right time for you, you'll suddenly buy in and you'll want more and more and you'll go on your journey. I can help along the way. And if you don't, I have had to learn how to be peaceful. And that goes as far as things like my own dad, who passed away recently. I could see a number of things on his health journey. He was unwell for decades. And confident me can actually look at it and say, I know why. I actually know why, both in terms of physical health, where he was following mainstream, unfortunately, and emotional health, because I understand things about his childhood and everything else. I can see why he had all the health issues he had. And I tried in vain to get him to change. And he didn't want to. So I had to learn how to make peace with that and be okay and say, hey, my place here on earth isn't to save 8 billion people. My place here on earth is to offer help to as many people who are willing to take it. And if they're not, that's okay. That's, be peaceful and relaxed about that. It took me a while, but I got there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and understanding that, yes, you have a mission and a purpose, but it's not, you cannot change anyone that doesn't want to change.
100%.
You're only here to reflect what, to the degree that they want to do.
And if can I add to it really quickly? The world is a reflection of me. Another phrase for that is perception is projection. What I perceive in others is what I'm projecting out. Another way of saying it is that thing of what bugs me about you bugs me about me. So if I see something in somebody else, is it really about what I'm seeing in myself? We're getting a little bit metaphysical, spiritual, whatever else here. But my ability to see it in somebody else is usually enhanced because I recognize it in me. So people then might be confused. Yeah, but Daniel, you're really healthy and do all the right things. So if you're seeing that in somebody else, that they're not healthy, it's because you've got that knowledge and experience. And I go, maybe it's not anymore. I used to think that maybe if they're not wanting to receive it right now, I was really talking to myself about something in my life I could do even better. So just because I'm a 9 out of 10, maybe what I'm supposed to do, if I recognize it in somebody else, is to do the work on me to become 9.1 out of 10 or 9.2 out of 10. And at some point in me embodying it, that person is likely to come to me and go, wow, you're amazing at that. Can you teach me, please? So if I just focus on me in a non-selfish way, then I probably end up helping more people.
Love it. I do want to go back. You had the loss of your father, but before we jumped on the podcast, you were telling me that you had a process where you've already grieved before, and you were happy for him. So how can you explain someone happiness around the death of a family member, where it's so much taboo and it's so difficult for people to process the passing of a loved one like the father.
Yeah. I think, again, it's whether we call it a Western world or developed world or whatever the right term is that's politically correct, we tend to not talk about death. Whereas there's a lot of other cultures that do talk about it a lot. And there's some interesting correlation, not necessarily causation, interesting correlation that a lot of the happiest countries on earth, depending how you measure these things, talk about death a lot culturally, which I find really intriguing because it removes the fear piece. So I've been aware of that journey for a number of years. But if I talk about my dad specifically, he first got sick in 2007 and at the beginning was given 6 months. Well, it's 2025. That's 18 years. So, okay, if I can't be grateful for 18 years rather than 6 months, I'm missing something straight away. And he was 81. Yeah, he got sick in his 60s, but he was 81. I want to live to 124, but 81's still a good age. Okay, great. Was he happy a lot of his life, even in those 18 years? Yes. Did him and I have a great relationship? Yes. We had such fun and banter and texting silly things to each other every day. We spoke nearly every day. It's beautiful. And then I was blessed, I would argue, with the fact that his passing was a gentle thing and I had time. I can imagine it, the potential for it to be more challenging when it happens out of the blue and no one's got time to prepare. But he started to sort of deteriorate, but in a not too painful way, reasonably peacefully, a good few weeks earlier. So I was able to fly back to the UK, spend some time with him, get to grips with that, do some of the grieving in the morning and the upset. And then I'd still FaceTime with him each day or most days. And I would talk to him and he wasn't really very responsive, but again, he'd like smile a bit or say a little something, etc. But through that, I could see the change that was coming, the changing relationship, which would actually then become only a relationship inside me in the future. I was able to step by step go through it. And I came across a post on Instagram a few weeks ago as well that talked a lot. It was like a Tao meditation thing, talking about how can you be happy in the grief process. And it was as simple as this. Focus on all the wonderful things you have. If you focus on what you're missing, if you focus on the loss, then of course there's only sadness. You can have that and focus on the beautiful stuff. So I'm 49. I had 49 years with him and 49 wonderful years. And he inspired me and taught me some really important things. And those are beautiful parts of my life. So I had all of that already.
What are 3 things your father taught you?
Have fun. I'm going to finish with the most important one. Have fun. Give all your energy to something when you really care about it. Put all your energy into it. But the biggest one was unconditional love. And he taught me that because he gave it to me. He gave me unconditional love. I could have done anything, nothing, everything, whatever it might be. And never for a millisecond could I have doubted that his love was there or would his love ever have changed for me. So I understand what that is. And it took me a long time, even as an earlier adult, I didn't understand that or fully embody that. I now have that. My wife and I have been together over a quarter of a century. And I now know what unconditional love is for her. There's nothing she could ever do or not do, whatever, that would change how deeply I love her. We might not like each other sometimes, but that's different. But do we love each other unconditionally? Yes. And I think the number one person I actually learned that from was him. And then my wife, who embodies that as well. So I've been blessed to have those 2 people that have taught me that. And actually, I look at my mum as well, and she gives me unconditional love. So it's come from multiple places. So that was huge. So even, hey, look, am I sad at that moment? Yes. Sometimes I think of things and I go to pick up my phone to text him something funny or cute or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I can't. But I can feel that and feel all the happiness. If there's 10 things happening in my life and 1 is sad and 9 are happy, then why can't I feel all of that, even in that proportion? And that's where I'm at with this. So I hope that can help somebody else going through that journey.
Yeah. Now let's go into your relationship. So, quarter of a century, it's a big deal, especially in the world today where divorce is sky high. So, what are things you do with your wife that has kept the marriage alive and flowing?
We should probably say something similar. We make the efforts. So in all seriousness, you can not like each other at the moment. There could be an argument, an upset, whatever else. But it's keeping the underlying thing that really matters is, but we still love each other. So we'll work on that because we love each other. I think that there's a confusion between like and love, maybe. And if we're not liking somebody in the moment, then do we not love them in the moment? And that's not what unconditional love is. So we make an effort to. It's funny. The Hollywood fantasy is that love is easy. It just happens, and it's just that's it. Just let it be, and love is there. And I think I want to call bullshit on that. I think what happens at the very beginning, there's both lust and love that can happen in the early stages with the right person. And as the lust calms, although I've got to say, I still think my wife is so goddamn hot. So that helps. And although even that, you can choose to work on that. So jump aside for a second. I will not watch pornography. I haven't done for years and years and years and years and years because I think there's a danger. It creates the lust for something else. It's a choice. So if I want to lust after my wife, I'm only going to think about and look at my wife because I want to fancy her. Okay. That's an important thing as well. As our species, we're supposed to be physically attracted to the opposite sex. And, or if it actually opposite sex is the wrong term because it doesn't even match up to the same sex. You're supposed to be attracted to others. It's kind of is the point. So that should be there. It takes an effort to make sure that you do the things to support that. But under it all is love. And I think you feel it at the beginning when it's the right person. And maybe the universe guides you to the right person. But after that, it's a choice to keep giving love. So if I love you, what are the things I should do? How should I treat you? And that might include me opening up fully, me sharing what I feel, sharing my vulnerabilities, me doing things for you, me doing things for myself that support me and therefore I'm a better husband to you. It's kind of the whole thing, just making that effort. Because I don't think it's supposed to be easy, but then the best things in life are never easy. They actually take effort because that's where almost the reward comes. So I don't know how well I'm answering that question.
So no, I see where it's theoretical in that sense, but if we go more practical, right? What are actual things that you do for your wife that keep that spark alive?
Practical things. Okay. So I make a coffee every morning and take it to her in bed because she loves it. And I like doing that. We plan dates every few weeks. And to make sure we don't forget to plan dates, because just habit can mean we don't do that, I have a reminder in my phone. The reminder pops up every month. It says dates. And we look and go, oh, let's go out there, there, and there. We've got 5 kids, 2 grandkids. They're older now. Like the youngest are 18 and they're at home and they take care of themselves a lot. So we can just go and do stuff really easily. But one could easily forget to unless it's a conscious thing. So we plan in date night there, date night there. We go to the gym together once a week and we call it a gym date. We're not even working out together. She does her stuff, I do my stuff, but we drive there together. We're both in each other's presence in the building, passing one another, waving sometimes. That emotional connection is there. And it's so simple. Such a lovely thing to share. We get home together having, oh, we're both worked out. Don't you feel great? So simple. Our nights are reserved for each other unless we consciously choose to do stuff. So every night we have our thing and we come together and dinner. And then eventually it's watching, whatever TV show on our nice red lit screen. Very important. And we share in shows that we enjoy together to laugh about them and talk about them. We even pick the right shows, which might sound strange, but we pick the things like, we watch all sorts, but we love things like America's Got Talent and The Voice and so on. That is not high quality programming, but we love them because we talk whilst we're watching them. Because you discuss, oh, that was great. Oh, no, the judge did the wrong thing. So now it's not just passively lost watching TV. We do some of that as well. We love a good movie or whatever, but we're sharing an experience. So it's subtle, but we're doing that multiple nights a week. We make sure we plan in every few months. We go away, just 2 of us. It could be just 1 night away downtown Austin, half an hour away. Or it might be 3 or 4 nights away somewhere further afield, but it's that real escape sounds like the wrong term because I don't like the idea that I'm escaping from something. It's just creating a different environment to just be 100% in each other without everything else going on. One of the biggest ones I've had to learn is embracing the moment. So I'm a big fan of like routines and plans and so on. So I've got my morning routine. I've got all my stuff. Yeah, right. Red light and hydration and reading and meditation, all the stuff. The danger is that can become obsession rather than passion. So that could happen. And then we're away together, or Mel wakes up early along with me and I go off and do my stuff. And it took me a while to work out, wait, I'm a bit more resilient than that. Oh, Mel's woken up early, so we can both go and drink coffee in bed together and chat and laugh and watch TV whilst holding hands at 6 a.m. one morning. I think that's better than me red lighting, reading my book and doing my breath work. Now, if I don't do all that stuff day after day after day after day, then eventually I do suffer, so she doesn't get the best version of me. But be able to adapt and grab those opportunities when they happen, that's been a big one for me. I've had to learn how to do that.
Yes, no, and as a man, it strikes me as well. We as a couple have a KPIs on a weekly basis of things that she desires and I desire, and we aim to achieve all of what she desires and what I desire every week. And once I was able to capture a moment where I love to go to sleep at 9, but if she needs me in that moment, and if I give it to her, I'm completing 3 of her core desires: protection, feeling like a priority, and feeling like a princess, versus me staying, like sleeping in early for myself. Would I rather sacrifice 3 of her desires or one night of sleeping a little bit later?
That's amazing. And how do you feel when that happens? That night and the next day.
That's really good. But what happened was I didn't do that, right? And at the end of the weekend, right, I was like, hey, I failed on these 3 desires. And I was like, oh shit, next time I'll do better. So we learn from the mistake, but the times that I did complete it, right, it feels worth it. It feels like I actually slept better because I know that that we are correlating and growing the relationship together. So
that really hits me. I really, really like that. And it's funny, the 3 KPIs you just listed for her are so similar to what my wife Mel would actually say for herself, especially the princess bit. Like, that's important to her. Great.
yeah, no, I'm gonna send you those KPIs. I think, like,
please.
And it's interesting because women have 7, men only have 5. I'm gonna list them down for you really, really easily. Let me see if I can check them out here. It's men will only want 5 things. They want the woman to have joy and be happy, right? They want her to be fragile and sweet. They want wisdom and peace. You don't want to enter a place that doesn't give you peace. You want her to submit to your leadership, right? And you want her to make you feel like the superhero.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Of course. Now for her, she wants to be provided through money, but also through time. So inviting her flowers or inviting her dinner, but also being in time with her.
Yes, and present.
Stability, which is keeping your word. Priority, making her the number one thing. Protection, feel held and protected. Princess, which is unique, different, and special from the rest. Back to what you said about the porn thing. If you're lusting something else, she's not unique, special, and different. She also wants adventure, and she also wants to have fun.
About this.
And it's not optional. That's the thing. For a good relationship, if you're going back to it, it's like all of these things is feeding into the relationship.
Wow. Okay, that's really powerful. You have to send me this because I need to redigest.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you guys come together and talk this through and compare and contrast. I've heard a few people talk about that in a more practical. We've said recently, let's start doing a monthly check-in like that. Let's really review what do you want, where we are, what's been the best few things of the last month, and let's pick maybe one thing for the month ahead that we'd like to work on for each other or whatever it might be. I think there's a real power in that.
Yeah. Of course, man.
Beautiful.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now let's go into business, right? Because you've been into the real estate development, investing for a bunch of, like, more than 20 years, right? But now you're integrating the holistic part and a holistic lifestyle to it. So could you tell a little bit more about that part?
Sure. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Here I am building houses. beautiful spec houses, kind of mid-market, mostly in Austin, Central Texas. And I'm on that health journey. I'm thinking, hang on, I'm not living my deepest truth and belief through what I'm doing. Why am I not building healthier houses? It's kind of a no-brainer. Of course I am. But let's make the houses healthier. But then there's a very practical thing that underlies that. So I coach dozens of people at any time because it's my passion around health. And I frequently will hit two barriers. So you're eating all the right stuff, you are doing the exercise, and you're working on your emotional health, and you're still not well. Why? Because maybe the building you're in is really bad for you. If your building is full of mold, which somewhere between 40 and 80% of homes in this country have mold. We don't know for sure the number, different reports, but it's a lot. If your building's full of mold, you're fighting against that. That's like the most basic foundational thing. All the other stuff can be right, but you can still be sick. If the lighting in the home is crap, the wrong artificial lighting, if the air isn't clean, etc., it's really hard to be healthy. So you've got to have the healthy building, no matter what else you do. The second piece of it is community. There is this growing loneliness epidemic. This is the harm that social media is doing, is people feel like they're connected to thousands of people, but more and more people are actually on their own. And there's all different research. I like the dramatic effect of one of the recent headlines, which is that loneliness is the equivalent of smoking, or gaining relationships and friendships and community is the equivalent of quitting smoking in terms of the impact it has on your life. That's huge. And I just believe that, anyway, back to my logic, we're a tribal species. We're meant to be in tribes of about 100, 150 people that we're close to. If we're kind of close to nobody, but sort of connected from a distance to 1,000 people, that's screwing us up. So we need community. Let's build healthy homes, but let's build homes that bring people together, whether it's little mini community things or small villages, which is something we're starting to work on building now, and build areas that bring people together. It's not just a gym that like an apartment complex might have, where everyone's got their headphones in, they're not talking to each other, even looking at each other anyway. But shared areas, fire pits, areas where you can maybe grow some fruits and some herbs and so on that bring people together. Maybe interviewing potential people that want to live by those homes and checking they have that right mindset, that right belief that community matters. Can they support one another? So live in a healthy house and create healthy connection is vital. So we're just chipping away now. So every month, we're constantly working on it. Every few months, we just keep adding new health features to our homes so they become healthier and healthier and healthier. And we're doing more and more work to start making more community within those. So that's the journey we're on.
I love it. No, and you are right on point when it comes to the gym. Like I go to the gym and I'm like beam and I disregard myself. So creating those intentional spaces about community, I think is essential.
Yeah. And we're going to build wellness clubs as well. So they're just a good thing. But also we're going to try and get those wellness clubs near to where we're building homes, whether it's on the same community or if it's city centre, just somewhere in that city. So maybe the people living in the city homes that we're building have another place to go and be a part of for community. So there's different ways of addressing it.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah. So where can people find you, Daniel? And more about your homes and also your social media?
Sure. Instagram is where I hang out. So I have my health Instagram, which is the not doc, as in the not a doctor person, because I almost like to lean into the fact I'm not a doctor, and maybe that's a good thing. So the not doc. And then our current Instagram account is Brownstone Capital Investments, because my company name is Brownstone. We're launching a new company actually, so there'll be some more social there. So that gives you kind of the two stories. And I've got websites and everything else, but really social, because I can keep adding to it, is where you would see me and see what we're talking about the most.
If there was one person that was hearing through the whole podcast and he's inspired, but they still don't know where to start, what would be the one step that they can do towards a better health and a better life?
Oh, how do I answer it without knowing that person, without knowing what they want or where they're at? Okay, I think that the one thing is clarity over what you really want and why, because nothing else really matters until you've got that. So you can say, I want to lose weight, or I want to get healthier and get on a diet and whatever else. Okay, cool. Have you tried that before? Yeah, 17 times. Cool. So why is the 18th time going to be any different? Well, maybe I'm going to choose a better diet. Nah, that won't be it. There's something else really going on. What do you really want? What I really want is to be laying on my deathbed at 93 with my family around me saying whatever else. Okay, whatever that image of what they really, really want. Or I want to be an inspiration. I've got young kids. I want to be an inspiration to them. So in 5 years' time, this is what they're asking me about. Great. Let's get that clear image in place. And then have the conversation with yourself. What do I believe deep down? Probably in my unconscious. I'm going to have to go deep. What are my beliefs that may either support that or prevent it? Because as I said, if you've tried 17 times previously on different diets and everything else, why is it going to be different? When actually, if you do the work, you discover, oh, my dad had something around worrying about weight and told me not to eat that much when I was 5 because I'll get fat. And that's now the thing in my head, deep down, I think I'm supposed to be a fat person. So therefore, I'll never be able to eat healthy or become healthy. Oh, shit. That's the thing I have to work on before I do anything else. That's actually what probably should come first.
Mm-hmm. Getting clear on what you want.
What you want and what your beliefs are that might be getting in the way, and what your beliefs need to be to help you get there. That's it. That will come first, ideally.
Epic. Awesome, brother. Daniel, it's been a powerful conversation. I can't wait to hear more from you. And excited when I'll keep you on the lookout when I go back to Austin as well.
Love it. Thank you, my friend.
Awesome, man. Talk to you soon.